All right, guys, so inequality equations. A lot of this may be a little bit of review, but we're doing some stuff so we can make sure that we understand it. So inequalities, don't forget we have our less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, or less than or greater than. So we'll do this equation and kind of come up with a few rules. So if we're dealing with equations like this, doesn't matter if they're inequalities or not, and you're set up this way, just make a ratio out of it. And that'll help you solve the problem. And we're going to go bottom right times top left gives us negative 24c. And then we're going to go bottom left times top right. So denominator times numerator. 1 times 5c plus 58 gives us 5c plus 58. So now we can kind of rearrange this thing. I'm going to subtract 5c this way. So negative 24c minus 5c, that gives me negative 29c, and that's 58. So now, on this one of the reminders is that now I'm going to divide by a negative. If I divide by a negative, that tells my inequality sign to point the other direction. So it's going to be c is greater than or equal to negative 2. So what we're saying is, if this is 0 and this is negative 2, I put a solid line in for C, and it's greater than or equal to negative 2. And we shade it that way. That's solving the equation and graphing it. Okay? So, again, set your ratios up. Multiply like you're solving a normal equation. The biggest thing you got to remember is when you divide or multiply by a negative to both sides, you're going to flip the inequality. Don't forget the graph. Don't forget that these are solid dots. These are open dots. So it's a solid dot because it's greater than or equal to. So make sure that you remember that's one of the things you have to remember on these. Okay? So that's doing inequality equations. We'll do one more here, guys, just to practice it a little bit. So negative x is greater than, and then I've got an x minus 7, I think. X minus 7 over 2. X minus 7 over, oops. So again, let's set up our ratio. We have a greater than sign, x minus 7 over 2. Bottom right denominator, top left numerator, negative 2x is greater than or equal to x minus 7. We're going to subtract the x over, so we get negative 3x is greater than negative 7. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. That's going to give me a flipped inequality. X is less than 7/3. So, here's my 0. Got to figure out where 7/3 goes. So 3 goes into 7 2 times. So there's my 1, there's my 2. But it's going to go 2 and just a little bit left over. So 2 times 3 is 6. With 1 left over, so it's actually 2 1/3, because I divided 3 into 7 and had 1 left over. So 2 1/3 goes right about there, but it's a less than, so I need an open dot, and I shade to my left. Okay? So, inequalities. Absolute, not absolute value, just inequality equations. All right, guys. That is section 1-5.